Got a clicker in my pocket, so hopefully this will go well. I've been instructed that if I press the wrong button, it will self-destruct, so hopefully that won't happen. It's a pleasure to be up here today. A bit daunting, as Margaret said last week, to talk about this stuff, but it's important that we share, isn't it, as a community. Why am I a Christian? In simple terms, it kind of just makes sense to me, and I'm hoping that through the course of this talk over the next 10-15 minutes, it'll kind of relay a little bit of why it makes sense, to me at least. Did that work? No. I haven't pressed the wrong button. Okay. Might be a bit slow. Hasn't had his coffee. Yeah, so why I'm a Christian. I think when like reflecting on this sort of stuff, it kind of just poses existential questions, fundamental questions. Why am I here? Why are you here? What is the point? Why are people drawn to each other as humans? Why do we feel things? What does love mean? Why is there so much structure in nature when we look around? Like, these are the sort of questions that blow my mind, and these are the sort of things I'm hoping to kind of explore a little bit in the short time we have. So looking out, like, you might have seen some of this wonderful photography that's come from the James Webb Telescope. But looking outwards, we want to try and explore, we want to discover things, and these photographs give us a glimpse into like history, the foundations of the universe, what it's made of, the structure. It's wonderful, it's beautiful, it's complex, it's mysterious, it's very interesting, and you can't help but look out and feel a sense of wonder in all that stuff. And that poses more questions, right, when you wonder about things. And it also means that this talk might be elongated. So when I look around at both the macro and the micro, to me the evidence, to me at least, the evidence of a creator God is there. It makes sense. So in space, there's all these forces that keep matter in a chaotic order. We don't quite understand how they work. We know that they're there. It's crazy, it's chaotic, it's a mess, but there's structure there, and it keeps things together. The earth, the structure on this earth is so perfect that it can breed life, right? We haven't found anywhere else like Earth, have we? And it's wonderful. Slight different changes in our temperature and the makeup of the structure of the chemicals would mean Earth couldn't survive here. Why is that the case? Seasons. There are seasons on this earth which give us a rhythm of life. It's wonderful. Looking outwards again, but to the micro, fingerprints, when we look at our hands, it blows my mind that everyone has fingerprints. They're each unique. There's a design here. That's the way I think about it. There's a design here. There's evidence of an author, a structure, a system in place. And when you look at nature, the ecosystems and the societal hierarchies of all living things, if you look at apes or dolphins or even insects, ants, they've got complex social structure. There's a higher meaning for all of that, I think. All of these things, for me at least, point to evidence of an author of such. Oh, right. So it seems logical to me that there is something behind everything, an action that took place. The alternative seems illogical. There is no book without an author. There is no song that is not written by someone. And that helps me make sense that when I apply logic to all of these things I've discovered, I feel like there must be a creator God. Looking in, so that I just talked about looking outwards, what's out there, what can we see when we look outward, what can we see when we look inward? Well, when I look inward, the same logical patterns seem to expose themselves, they resonate with me. The miracle of the creation of life, I think we take it for granted that we can create life as humans. That is amazing when you think about how that happens, the sperm and the egg, seeds that grow into mighty trees. Something so small contains something that has the potential to be so massive, and that blows my mind. Again, that pattern, that logic, when I apply logic to that, it makes sense that there is a creator. I don't know if anyone over there can control the slides, but it might be easier if you just go to the next slide. So looking in, when I look at humanity, how wonderfully, beautifully, amazing that we are. We are feeling beings. We feel things inside us. We're complex. We share things with each other we want to share. We are intelligent. We have free will. We're not mindless, empty drones. There's something within us that stirs. But why? Why are we not mindless, empty drones? Why aren't we just going about in a systemic way? Why do we have feelings? Why can we express ourselves? Next slide. Well, my belief is that God's vision for creation is fulfilled when we choose to love. As I see it, it's the ultimate expression of the truth that exists in hope. And that wouldn't be possible. I just don't think it would be possible if we didn't have freedom. We would be mindless slaves. We wouldn't be able to choose to love. We wouldn't have that free will. If we didn't have that free will, it wouldn't please God because we haven't made that choice ourselves to express love. And that's what's so beautiful. We have the freedom to choose to do that. And when we do it, my belief is that that is the fulfillment of God's creation in us. So I can summarize that, I think, by saying the beauty of humanity shows itself as love being expressed. And that is what I believe, and that's what I take from my faith and part of why I'm a Christian. So I've talked about love. I've talked about quite higher level things and concepts there. But what about Jesus? Jesus existed. What is his role in all of this? What does he have to say about all this stuff? Well, when Jesus was asked about what is the most important thing for us to do, he said, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbour as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. So that's where Jesus comes into play when we talk about love. He was sent here to teach us these things. So Jesus makes sense to me. I can make sense of Jesus in that context because I see Jesus as the physical embodiment of God on earth. That makes sense. It's a connection to us and between us. And Jesus' presence helps me understand our purpose. When you read the scriptures, when you read the Gospels, it all comes back to love. That's what we're striving for, and that's what Jesus was sent to help communicate. Love in the face of hate, light in the face of dark, hope in the face of fear, love to our God, love to each other, and love to ourselves. That sounds easy, but as we know, it's not easy, and it's really powerful. And we stumble and we trip and we fall, but God is there, and God wants us to love. And it's really important that we focus on that sometimes. So faith talks about love, talks about Jesus, talks about God, all that stuff. But what does faith mean? What does faith mean to me? What it says in Hebrew is that faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Now, obviously, I talked a lot earlier about how I make sense of God, Jesus, and I try to apply logic here to help me make sense of it because that's the way I think. Faith is inherently illogical, right? You're taking that leap of faith. How can you do that? How can you apply logic to that? It doesn't make sense. A purely logical person would find that troublesome, probably. Well, let's just think a little bit, because we spoke about space, right? There's a lot of forces out there that we know exist, but we can't see them, and we don't really understand them. We know gravity exists, for example. But we don't actually know much about it, really. When you dig into it, the science of it, we know it exists, but there's lots of things we don't know about it. Consider the physical stuff, like gravity, dark matter, black holes, all that good stuff. Those forces, where I think about it, when I apply logic to it, for me, I consider those forces that we think exist. We don't know much about them. We don't fully understand them. And for me, that helps move from that physical world to the spiritual world. It's a leap of faith because you know about it and you want to delve into that a little bit more. And that requires a leap, right? So the physical to the spiritual. So, where I apply logic to this is gravity, dark matter. Then the spiritual side of things is like consciousness. We know that as humans we have a consciousness, we have souls. Try and describe that, try and explain that in a scientific way, good luck. That's the leap of faith. So, my faith. So I was born into a Christian household. I went to church from a young age. I knew about God. I would often pray, talk to God. I knew the existence of Jesus. But there are always layers to this, right? So I think my faith really developed when I went to university and I was put into a housing with another Christian guy. And I went to church there. And I remember walking back from church one day and he said, he asked me a question. He said, if you died tomorrow, would you go to heaven? And that was just like, it really prompted something in me because I just thought, I would like to think I would go based on my understanding of things, but actually, what am I doing in practice? And I considered my life and how selfish I probably was at that stage. From then I tried to be less selfish. That was a spark of something. And I finished university and I was in a bit of a dark place personally. There was a lot going on in my family life and things like that. And one night I kind of prayed to God because I graduated from university. I couldn't find a job. It was really difficult for about 2 years. I was just working in a toy shop and I was like, what am I doing? And one night I needed a way out, really. I needed to find a way forward. I'd tried so many different things and it just wasn't working. So I just prayed to God and I felt like I was falling through a gap, a hole, a black hole. And God said to me, I'm your rock. No matter how far you fall, I'm there. I'm there for you. So that was really powerful for me. And so this verse stuck out to me. I didn't read this verse at the time, but this is the verse that kind of resonates with me when I think back to that time. So he lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and the mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand, a refuge. That's really difficult sometimes. I don't know if you've ever experienced that in your life, where you do feel like everything's been pulled below you and you don't know where you're going, and it can be really unsettling. I think that happened a lot during COVID, the uncertainty, right? We need to know, we need to have a direction, and sometimes there isn't a direction and you don't know where you're going, and it can be quite traumatizing, quite dark. And so God gave me that rock, gave me a firm place to stand at that time. So my faith, refuge, and that's refuge in the Bible when I read, it's refuge in prayer when I need God's help, I need someone to turn to, refuge in the church community and our sisters and brothers when we need someone to talk to, and that's loving and kindness come through when you need it. Purpose, it gives me a direction when I think about the things that I'm trying to do here on earth in my limited time. I come back to love, and love drives me. That is my purpose. It gives me a reason to be, I think. And so often people can lack purpose, and that's difficult when you don't know, you don't have a meaning. It's hard to kind of find a way forward, isn't it? And the next thing is hope. And hope, as Jesus, showed us on the cross when he died and rose again, there's hope there because there's a resurrection, there's resolution, there's hope in heaven for when we die. And where there's hope, there's joy. The alternative is to feel eternal sadness because you have no refuge, you have no direction, you have no hope. So it's dark, it's bleak. So I choose to believe that God loves me and he wants us to love each other, and that is what I carry around with me, so that enables me to think that there can be joy as well. So, yeah, thanks for listening. That's a little bit about why I am a Christian. It's not everything, but it's something. So, yeah, thank you.